Today I'm here to discuss on the topic basic physiology of emotions. So basically, what do you all know about emotions? Yes, emotion is a strong feeling of anger or joy. It can also be described as an instinctive feeling distinguished from reasoning. Emotions basically have two components, mental and physical. The mental components include cognition, affect, and cognition. Cognition is nothing but the awareness of the particular sensation and the cause for that. Affect is the feeling produced by that sensation, and cognition is the desire to take action. The physical components include increased blood pressure, increase in heart rate, and sweating associated with that. Now, let's move on to the types of emotions. Emotions are of 5 types. These include motivation, reward and punishment, fear, anxiety, rage and placidity, and addiction. Let us look into each of these in detail. Let us look on to the motivation, reward, and punishment. What is motivation? Motivation is a set of processes responsible for goal-directed behavior. Yes, obviously, this leads to behavioral, autonomic, and hormonal responses. This behavior is motivated by stimulation of the reward system and inhibition of the punishment system. This is why I told motivation, reward, and punishment are interconnected. With respect to motivation, reward, and punishment, there are two mechanisms. One, your reward or approach system, and the other, your punishment or avoidance system. Coming to the first one, your reward system. What happens in our brain? Yes, dopaminergic pathway of the ventral tegmentum is stimulated to the nucleus accumbens, medial forebrain bundle, and the lateral and ventromedial hypothalamus. This in turn produces a pleasure sensation called the reward or approach system. Now, let us look on to the second mechanism, your punishment or avoidance system. Here, there is stimulation of lateral part of the posterior hypothalamus, the dorsal midbrain, and the entorhinal cortex. This in turn produces a sensation of fear or terror. This is called the punishment or avoidance system. The most common one, fear. What is fear? Yes, fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by threat of danger, pain, or harm. Now, what happens in our brain? Yes, when we fear, there is stimulation of hypothalamus and amygdaloid nuclei which produces the reaction of fear. Now, let me talk about our third type, anxiety. What is anxiety? Anxiety is a normal emotional response. So, what happens in our brain during anxiety? During anxiety reaction, there is increased blood flow to the anterior end of the temporal lobe. Now, anxiety will be mediated by alpha 2 GABA receptors, and there will be increased conductance of chloride ions. So coming to our fourth type, rage and placidity. which mostly happens in animals. What is rage? Rage is an emotional condition where a minor stimulus evokes a violent response. What happens in our brain? There is removal of neocortex and distraction of the ventromedial nucleus of the hypothalamus. This in turn produces rage, especially in animals. Coming to placidity. What is placidity? It is a condition in which anger-provoking and traumatic stimuli fail to disturb the animal. So, what happens in our brain? When do we have placidity? Yes, we have placidity if there is a lesion in the amygdaloid nucleus. So, we are moving on to our last type, addiction. Addiction is a repeated compulsive use of a substance in spite of its negative effect on our health. So, what happens in our brain? Yes, it is associated with the reward system in the brain, especially with nucleus accumbens. We all know exogenous opiates. These are addictive drugs. These increase the amount of dopamine to act on the D3 receptors in the nucleus accumbens, and hence we get addicted to the drug. So, we have come to the end of today's session on emotion. Let me end this session with a quote quoted by Crystal Andrews. Feel the feeling, but do not become the emotion. Witness it, allow it, and release it. So, thank you, and if you liked our video, please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.